Hello and welcome to another Royally Rich Lifestyle Show with me, Ian Pelham Turner.
And with me, Helena Chard.
We've got some great stories today, some great royal stories. We've got people who...
Fabulous guests.
Absolutely.
Wonderful tidbits, lots to learn.
Fashion. And also the new Miss England. So let's roll the titles and let's get on with the show. Well, as always, we start with Helena and all the roundup of the royal news. There's some interesting things happening this week.
There are. I think what's great is the Prince and Princess of Wales have been doing a huge amount. And I think beginning with the magical night at the Royal Variety performance, which was wonderful. That was at the iconic Albert Hall. And I have to say, when the Prince and Princess of Wales got out of their chauffeur-driven car, they looked absolutely stunning. Princess of Wales was wearing this beautiful deep green velvet long dress with matching shoes, and Prince William looked beautiful as well in his tux. Really amazing. Incredible talent on stage, and I think a powerful reminder of why supporting the arts is so important. It really matters. So there was so much happening. There was the 40th anniversary of Les Miserables, so there was a wonderful extract there. They met Paddington Bear. Real Paddington Bear was there chatting to them, much to the envy of their 3 children who weren't allowed to be there. It was a school night. And there was, I'm trying to think, who was introducing? I mean, there just was so many different people. And it's just important because obviously it's about raising money as well. It's vital support through mental health challenges, it's residential care, financial assistance for people within the industry, because obviously we have these wonderful performers, but they're not all paid incredibly well. So it's a great charity that supports those that need it through tough times. But I can't wait to see it. It's going out on ITV in December. I haven't got the exact date. And, you know, such a dedicated team that put this whole sparkling event on. So cannot wait.
And it's the Royal Variety charity as well. It's a charity that there's a home for former stars, and they often take photographs of the people now in these homes, and they're in their 70s and in their 80s. And I remember them when they were, you know, and working with them as well, when they were, you know, being all the current comedy series and so forth in the 70s and 80s as well. So the Royal Variety charity really does look after the people who may have then fallen on hard times.
Yeah, all the people from the best of theatre, comedy and music. Are you hoping to go in there?
I'm hoping to go in there, you know, but I've already ordered my bath chair, and hopefully we're allowed to choose which nurse will push me around the gardens and the grounds.
That's what it's about, of course. So that was lovely. Moving on, so Prince of Wales was in North Wales. In fact, this was yesterday. There was a huge amount of hugging going on in North Wales. I mean, quite incredible. He was spotlighting young people in coastal communities and immersing himself really in all of their work. And it just, I don't know what I think. I mean, obviously there were lots of people throwing themselves at him. Everyone was thrilled to see him. And he was just as animated, and you know, the sunshine was out even though it was chilly, and he was quite happy and relaxed with people and giving hugs, which I think is, I don't know what you think, Ian, but it sort of makes me think, gosh, it's slightly worrying, because when people see this hugging situation, I mean, he's going to suddenly become a professional hugger, like Amma the hugging mama or something. You know,
Well,
it's slightly concerning.
I was just going to ask you, did he start hugging any trees like his father?
Yes, well, hugging trees. I've done that since I was a child. So yeah, that's something, isn't it? But
amazing.
But lots of different people don't know. But anyway, so he had a great time, and I have to say it was lovely seeing him at these little meeting people, meeting different charities and comedies, and having a walk on the beach with young people. It was good to see him do the smaller things, as well as obviously his Earthshot Prize and all these amazing things as well. But he played pool with youngsters. Yes, as I said, there was a comedy workshop. He was in Colwyn Bay meeting young marine conservationists, sort of talking about really raising the importance of Wales beaches. And I think he just took a huge amount of time. So just taking a stroll along the beach with the Marine Conservation Society in Colwyn Bay, encouraging the positive social change powered by collective action. So all of these volunteers, and there's lots of them, increasing their understanding of the benefits of the sea, improving the sustainable management of the local marine heritage, and promoting health and well-being in general. So, you know, it's also worthwhile and works with everything that he does anyway in the bigger picture. He also, I mean, gosh, there was other things as well. He went to the nude make, I don't know how you pronounce it, the Gwenud make.
I thought we said nude beach.
Yeah, well, I think it's pronounced like that, but no, it's not. It's the comedy school. So it's a comedy school, and it's a school breaking down barriers. It's to get people to contribute to the arts. It's a safe, supportive space for adults and young people who are exploring comedy, developing their social skills. They belong, you know, and it's sketch writing and character work. I mean, there's a huge amount of learning going on, and proving that laughter can be a powerful tool, obviously, for connection and change. I have to say, when he was wandering along the beach as well, he was saying that he really loves cold water dipping now. There's Prince William.
God.
I think he took a little while to come round, because that's Princess Catherine's favourite little thing. But no, he loved it, and they were all chatting about how good they feel once they've been cold water dipping. See, there you go, Ian. That's something for you to try one of these days.
No, thank you.
Okay. And also he was connecting with incredible youth from the Youth Sheds Cymru. Now, I think Youth Sheds is something which is in different areas, but this is the Cymru one in Wales. And that's a movement creating safe, creative spaces, again, where they can build their sense of purpose and belonging, and it's sort of action and trauma informed as well. So really very good, makes positive impact. VR, digital media, mechanics, arts. It's shaping the voices of young people. So all of these little places that he attended transform lives and community. So all was really good. And there were other little things as well, just playing pool and just generally chatting. He does love Wales. They both do. I think the Prince and Princess of Wales, we know that he was in North Wales when he worked with the air and ambulance, didn't he, for 3 years until he stepped down. And that was a time where he learnt so much, but it was also quite a traumatic time. But you can imagine North of Wales, it's beautiful beaches. I'm sure they were left alone and had a lovely, lovely time. And moving on, Princess Catherine, we've seen her out and about and giving these wonderful speeches. And most recently, she is proud to be patron of the Forward Trust. And it's Addiction Awareness Week here in the UK. And she's been calling for there to end the stigma surrounding addiction, which is absolutely something to applaud. It's not a choice, it's not personal failing, but it's a complex mental health condition that shouldn't be met, it should be met with empathy and support. So fabulous, and people are really, really thankful that she said that, because it's really reframing addiction, because people don't understand, and you can get well. You know, that's the real thing. And as I said about the reframing, moving the conversation away from blame and towards understanding. So really fabulous. Recovery is always possible when met with compassion and evidence-based care. So great. takingactionaddiction.org.uk is the website as well that they put forward. I think we've got Princess Catherine's also going to the Anna Freud mental health charity tomorrow, and that's very close to where myself and Ian live. I don't know whether we'll pop along, possibly, but that's a great organisation. She's been patron since 2016. Again, a top organisation in the UK for evidence-based research and training on children. It's children and families, and it's also within the mental health arena. And finally, because we're going to keep it short today, because we have so many wonderful guests, I think ending with the Prince of Wales, this was the other day, joined Lindsay Borrow and Kevin Sinfield in Leeds, and this was to open the fabulous Rob Borrow Centre for MND, that's motor neurone disease. So Robert Jeffrey Borrow, as he was known, and Rob Borrow, CBE, he was an English professional rugby player, fabulous, really very, very good, a rugby league footballer who played as a scrum half or a hooker, very strange names. He spent his whole entire professional career with the Leeds Rhinos, and that was roughly 500 appearances. And over the years, gradually you could see that motor neurone disease had taken its toll. He's no longer with us, but he was extraordinarily courageous, and for a long, long time his vision was to build this centre that would help people with MND and care for them. And this now has been built. William's opened it, and it's a real tribute to his legacy. So all really, really very good. And it's the first centre, purpose-built facility. And to be dedicated completely to motor neuron disease is really fabulous. So a lot of research there, education, development. You can't believe actually that there hasn't been one previously, but it just goes to show that I would imagine that MND is becoming more in the forefront now. Quite a cruel disease, isn't it? But his dedication and generosity brought this all to life. So there we go. So we'll remember him fondly. And that is the end of the Royal News today. We shall carry on, and I think Mr. Turner has a few words to say about this day today. Oh my goodness, we're all biting our nails.
My goodness. Today was a day that no doubt the Prime Minister would want to forget, and Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor, would want to forget, because unwittingly the OBR, which is the Office for Budget Responsibility, unwittingly actually released the full budget an hour before Rachel Reeves got on her feet to actually say it to the House of Commons. And so the BBC then diligently went through the whole of the OBR as well, and started doing all the different items way before this happened. And so there's going to be a tremendous kerfuffle over this. No doubt heads will roll over this at the same time. And I think the reality at the moment is that, this is the most accident-prone government I've ever noticed in my entire career. And it's been spanning 59 years now, so I've never known a government who have had so many accidents, so many problems, so many issues, and it's only 18 months into their premiership as well. So there we go. Now, over the past few days, I actually visited the Harley Street Skin Clinic, and they have an incredible story to tell about what they actually do these days, the type of services, and we're hoping to work regularly with them to actually discuss some medical issues. Stay tuned.
I'm Dr. Armour Clark from Harley Street Skin Clinic. My wife and I founded the clinic just over 20 years ago in Harley Street. And
I'm Leslie Reynolds, and Dr. Khan's my husband, as you know. And we founded the clinic in 2006 in Harley Street, and we started just doing skin. We were a skin clinic, and over that time we've evolved into everything from skincare product right the way through to full body surgery.
What do you think are the type of problems that you're facing these days? You know, have you noticed that trends have changed?
Trends have changed enormously, because when we started it was literally, the industry was very new. We just started with Botox, so there were fillers and Botox and a few lasers, and now literally it's everything through to full surgery, but things are now turning back a little bit and people are wanting less surgery and more regenerative treatments.
How safe are all these things like Botox? I'll be honest, it worries me slightly, Botox, but what do you feel?
I think one of the questions we get asked frequently is how safe are these treatments? We've got to understand that medicine's been around a long, long time. This particular area of medicine is very young. So though it's a huge industry on a financial level and on the numbers of patients who go through it, it's still relatively new. And Botox has been around now for about 20 years.
25 years probably.
But prior to that, we were using it in medicine for cerebral palsy in children, for blepharospasm, for muscular relaxation, for migraines. So we know how Botox works, but its use in cosmetics is relatively new. And we've got a lot of experience with that. Fillers, again, they've been around a bit longer, haven't they?
Longer, yeah. Probably 30 odd years people have been using fillers.
Yes. But what's changed is that younger people are now having it. When we came into the industry, our average age of patients was starting in their mid-30s and older. But now we've got girls coming in at 18. We're turning away people who are younger than 18 because it's far too young to start. And what we don't know is what the long-term consequences are going to be for those people if they're having fillers now.
What do you think is causing this massive surgency in rejuvenation these days?
Social media, I think, is a huge thing, because so many people are having photos taken. And I find it myself, people show me a photo, or I see a photo on social media that somebody's taken of me, and I think, I'd rather not look like that, can you take it down? And I think there's a lot of pressure, with peer pressure with young people, to look perfect. And because these photos are popping up everywhere, you don't always look your best in a photo, do you? And I think that's what it really is. That's the biggest thing for younger people coming to see us.
Yeah, and the other thing is that when cosmetic treatments were introduced to our generation, it was new. We didn't know anything about it. It was a little bit of an indulgence, and a lot of people were a little shy and a little ashamed to admit that they were having things done. But the newer generation, the latest generation, are born into a time when Botox and fillers are everyday, they're common day things. So for them, it is part of their psycho-physical well-being. They're talking about it, they've been born into a time when everybody's talking about it on the media.
Yes, I think when I very first started in the industry, which was really the late 90s, it was about vanity. People said, well, I don't want to look as if I'm vain, I don't want anyone to know. But now they speak really openly about it. A 25-year-old come in and say, I want to have Botox, do you think I need it? Well, of course, nobody needs it. Nobody needs it at all. But they use it now in a preventative way. And so young people don't want to get the lines, they don't want to get any lines, really. They just want to look perfect all the way through.
I did a talk recently, it was about psychology and cosmetics and the red flags that we see. So we all talk about dysmorphia, and most people are dysmorphic because we look at ourselves and we're not happy about something. But when it becomes an actual disorder, that's when it starts to affect our lives. And that needs to be handled very carefully. But then we've got muscle dysmorphia as well, where people are into bodybuilding and there's a certain shape of their bodies that they want to achieve, which may or may not be healthy. But now there is this social media face that we're coming across. They're looking at themselves, at pictures where social media has actually changed how they look, and that's what they want to look like.
That's interesting. I didn't know everybody was dysmorphic.
Yeah, everybody has a degree. Whenever we do a picture, we look at ourselves and go, well, I don't like my hair, I don't like this, am I looking all right? So dysmorphia isn't necessarily a disorder. Dysmorphia is just a little bit of a dysphoria, body dysphoria, in the way that we feel about it. There is always something about ourselves we don't like. And even the most beautiful people, like you, Danny, you'll always pick on a feature that you don't like.
I mean, I was watching Netflix the other day, Kardashians, and the Kardashians had a Botox party where they brought in this team of clinicians to actually just. Do you think if there is a wise age, when is the wise age to actually start looking at treatments? Because I think all women are beautiful anyway, you know? I mean, I look at your wife and she's stunning, you know? And I understand, you know, I mean, I suppose it's, I always remember that, you know, men look at themselves in the mirror in the morning, maybe shaving, and we just perhaps comb their hair or something like that. That's it. Women look in the mirror in the mornings and they see everything that's wrong with them.
Yes.
I think there's a pressure. I think there's more of a pressure on women to look better. And what I have found, I've been doing this for a very long time, I've been doing this for 35 years, and what I've found is that the very beautiful women find it quite hard to age. And where they have always been praised, maybe from a young child, even for their looks, and you know, you say to every young child, don't go, you're beautiful, every young girl. But where women are truly beautiful and they've started to get older, maybe they're getting less attention than they did before, they find it very hard. And a lot of women that have got daughters find it quite hard as well, because they see their daughter looking the way they used to look. And it might sometimes just be they've noticed their flesh, their legs. My daughter's legs are absolutely beautiful, you know. And of course, you have to, I think, as you're aging, understand you're aging and accept it, that you're going to a different phase of your life. And that's really quite important for us in our industry, to help these people and to say, actually, you still look gorgeous. And I very often say to women, you still are very beautiful. You know, you're just aging a little bit. We can help with a few of the lines, but you don't want to look ridiculous at your age. You want to look as good as you can look, you know, and you look fabulous. And I think also, often people don't tell other people that they look really nice. You know, often women don't say to another woman, "You look fabulous," or "You know, amazing," like that. And so, actually, trying to encourage that kind of atmosphere or behaviour around people is also something that we need to do, and the clinicians need to tell people they don't need that much work. And I think that's a big thing. Often it's difficult. With people, you find some clinicians will just do it for the money, but actually you need to be able to say to people, you've had enough and you don't need it anymore. And with the lips and all the things that a lot of people come in for, you say, you really don't need it.
A large point of our audience are American based. They're women 45 plus as well. So what advice would you give these days to women, and from a medical point of view and from a feminine point of view as well?
Well, my background was in integrative medicine, and for a while I was a GP in what we would describe today as a blue zone, where we had lots of elderly patients, and my practice looked after proportionately the oldest population in the country. And a lot of them were women, spinsters, and they looked amazing. They lived a good life, they were healthy, and my centenarians I used to go out and see just for a chat, just to see how they were, not to attend to any illness. And what I've learned is that there are certain things that keep people vital. So looking young is only part of it. Being healthy inside contributes greatly to how we feel, how we walk, how we present ourselves, and also it's reflected in our skins and how we age. And our practice has moved back to looking after the whole person. So we look after how they look, but we also talk about and look after how they are inside. So it's really integrative, medicine and beauty coming together.
So it's not only a generation thing now, it's both sexes, you know, what really are they experiencing? You know, I mean, we hear these stories about men in their 40s, for example, wanting to look younger so that they can still work. You know, there seems to be a lot of how people look these days. But the other thing I was going to ask you as well is, are there people that you won't do things to as well? You know, where does the judgment call start?
Gosh, yes.
Yes. I think that when we see patients, both of us, patients will come and ask us our opinion, but they'll also come and tell us what they want and what they feel is wrong with them. So I think the first thing is that we've got to be able to see what they see. And if we can't really see what they see, then we would steer them away from any treatment, because we want to adjust their thinking, their expectations, and how they then pursue health and looks. If we agree with them, with their concerns, the next step is to consider what we can do to help them achieve what they want. And if we can't, then again, it's a time when we've got to discuss that with them and say, look, you know, I do see what you see, but if we try and do something, it could make it worse, or there isn't really anything at the moment that's available that will help you achieve what you want. And of course, then there's the psychology behind it.
I mean, I saw a young girl a couple of weeks ago. She was about 25, and very, very pretty girl. So we started to have a chat, and then I said, you know, what is it you want to speak about today? She said, it's my jaw. You know, my jaw's so wide. Do you think I should have Botox to make it narrower? I said, no, actually, I think if you just go home and look in the mirror and tell yourself you're beautiful. And she said, really? I said, yes. I said, go home and speak to your mother. Have you spoken? I always said to your mother, have you spoken to your mother about this? And they say yes or no. And I said, go home and bring your mum back with you, or go home and chat to your mum, but you just don't think this. And you know, you have to say that sometimes.
I totally agree, because I think, again, I work a lot with women. And I remember one day, I think she was the British entry for Miss Universe. So, top draw, beauty.
Yeah.
And we met for a coffee beforehand. I always like to sort of meet people. But I knew something was wrong. And after about 20 minutes, she burst into tears. She told me I liked it. And so I wonder how you can deal with things like that, you know, because I can see the two of you are very kind, very honest as well, as a company and as a policy, but how do you deal with things like that?
It's hard, isn't it? I don't think it's the right thing to send them away, because we are a medical clinic and our background is medical, it always has been. And because our patients are coming to us, to us, they become our patients, we therefore have a responsibility, a clinical responsibility. Our consultations are long enough for us to spend time with them and to listen to them and to talk to them, but also to develop that initial doctor-patient relationship or clinic-patient relationship where we can say to them, look, you know, I'm concerned about how you're feeling about this. And what I'd like to do is to help you, before we do anything, before we even consider doing anything from a cosmetic perspective, let's see if we can't help you to deal with this in a different way. And we have psychologists and psychiatrists who work with this.
We do. I mean, we do get people that are very distressed, and that's always the doctor. We always take that patient to a doctor. But we do have people that come in to discuss things, and they are being a bit, overindulgent or silly, really, because maybe somebody has said something to them. That's another really big thing, actually, which isn't silly at all. And a lot of people come maybe without their nose or their lips, and maybe somebody at school has said to them, "You've got a big nose," and then that stays with them. So that obviously, that is a psychological thing. But say with the girl who came and said, my jaw's wide, she was very light-hearted about it, and it would be ridiculous to give her Botox, it would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
So there are two sides to it, I think, and it's for us and the practitioners really to, as you say, chat to them, speak to them, and find out what is really going on.
Yeah.
We have had situations where a patient has come in because their partner sent them in.
Yeah.
And I think that is an absolute red flag,
Yeah.
where they're coming in not because they want to do something, because their partner or their husband or wife has said, you need this.
And again, you know, it's crazy these days. So talk me through the process of they find you first of all. So what is the process of someone coming to you?
Well, you do. That's
Well, they would book in for a consultation, and they've got a choice. So if they wanted to come in for a chat, a general chat about what their concerns are, and they wanted somebody's knowledgeable opinion, then Leslie's somebody that they can see, and she would give them an honest view and opinion and have a chat with them. And a lot of them, they may not even come to see me or any of the surgeons or doctors that we have working with us. So you do a lot of that, don't you?
I do a lot of people aren't sure. They think, oh, I don't feel great. I think I want to do something, or I'm not really happy with my body, but I don't know if I would have surgery or something non-surgical. And I'll chat to them, and we'll find out what's going on. And then, if it's the right thing for them, I'll put them to the right doctor. So I'll start by, I'm not a medic. I'm here I've been in this industry for 35 years. If you want to talk to me about your concerns, I can help you get to the right person that you need to go to. So that's one route. The other route is that they will book to see a doctor or a surgeon, and they'll be probably more definite at that point that they know they want to probably go ahead and do something. And then you would see them. It's a full medical history.
Yeah, so they'd come and see me, I'd listen to what their concerns are, we'd take a full medical history, psychological history, lifestyle history. So we really, it's very much a medical approach, because I feel that by just doing cosmetic treatments, what we're doing is we're trivialising not just the treatments that we do, but the patient's concerns, their needs, and their overall well-being. So we do take a full in-depth history, and we support the patient. We put our patients at the centre of our care programme, and we support them and offer them support in whichever way. And in doing so, we've also been gatekeepers of various conditions. We've picked up medical conditions that haven't been picked up before. We've been able to signpost them to the right specialists or back to their GPs to look at that further. So, I believe by engaging with any medical service provider, that the patient should have the confidence that they're going to be listened to properly and looked at properly.
So talk me through all the different things that you actually do here, because you're obviously not just purely skin.
It's huge.
Well, it's not just individually. We because we started off as a medical skin clinic, and a lot of it was medical skin needs and medical cosmetic skin needs. So people were seeing us we'd have an acne clinic, we'd have a hyperpigmentation clinic, we would look at people with rosacea as well as people wanting Botox and fillers, and other dermatological conditions. We very quickly started to expand into an integrative provider where we had surgeons, dermatologists, trichologists, hair specialists working with us. And so we work as a team. And Leslie's background in skincare has been invaluable. All the doctors, the surgeons have learned so much from Leslie. She says she's not a medic, but what she doesn't know about skin isn't worth knowing. So I've personally learned a huge amount about how the skin works, how healthy skin works, because in medicine we don't look at healthy skin. we look at skin that has an issue, has a problem. And by integrating that into the way that we practice, we can support the skin as well.
And I think you're doing weight loss as well. Is there sort of so? And obviously, with these new drugs that are coming out, what's your opinion on these drugs?
I think they're absolutely incredible. But they are medicines, and they should be prescribed, monitored by an appropriately qualified doctor. Not all doctors are appropriately qualified or experienced in using them, and it's a speciality. And it's something that we're learning. They started off in metabolic health, and they were used for diabetes, in helping support diabetic patients. And what we found was that they were losing weight. And there's been a lot of research, lots of patients have had them, and we have a lot of experience and knowledge now as to how they work and why they are good. And I would say that they are the most significant development in pharmacology of this century for health, when they're used properly. Of course, if they're not used properly, if they're not sourced properly, there have been lots of fake drugs out there. There have been drugs that have been manufactured by people who are quite unethical. The drugs haven't contained what they should do. They've been quite dangerous. So counterfeit drugs of any type are a big red flag and dangerous. But they've been so good that the companies like Weight Watchers have gone out of business. So, so we've got a medication here which is really powerful, very effective, and it's now being used in lots of different areas of medicine.
When would you advise, someone to sort of have one of those treatments?
I think when people have one of the signs of aging which increases your risks of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and neurodegeneration, and that is when people start to develop insulin resistance. So the first step is to look at them, to take a history, and to do tests to look at their inflammation levels and their insulin resistance. So we do blood tests, we do a full examination, and we establish a baseline. And then the important thing to do is to titrate the medicine, so we're getting the results we want. We follow our patients up on a monthly basis. We're there because, as with any medication, there can be side effects. We increase the dose slowly to the level which is right for them. And then, once we've achieved what we want and stabilised them, and habitualise patients on the right choices, the right lifestyle, we talk about diet, nutrition, exercise, and once they've incorporated that into their lifestyles, we then withdraw the medication and monitor them.
Do you think you're creating the elixir of life?
I think somebody may have created the elixir of life. We're just happy to be able to have access to it and help our patients. Yeah.
I'm going to use that expression. Thank you.
Because, I can honestly say, I feel very comfortable coming here. You obviously look after your patients extremely well at the same time. And so it's a very good experience in the first place. I was talking to a professor recently who is now teaching people to live beyond 100. So I wonder what you think about that.
I think we're all capable of living beyond 100. When we look at longevity, people are trying to create longevity. I don't think we're there yet. And when we look at all the evidence and the science behind it, and we do work with longevity, our life expectancy from a genetic and epigenetic perspective. So from a genetic perspective, we can live to about 126. And I think that is the average for most people, unless there is a definite genetic deficiency or defect that shortens that life expectancy. Then we have how long do we actually live? Our biological age. Does our biological age live up to our potential? Because we've got our chronological age and our potential. And then our biological age is what determines how long we actually live along that. So if we reach 120 before that time, if we reach it in, say, 80 years, then we're going to expire at 80 years. So it's all about lifestyle, about how we live, how we affect the genes that are expressed. And part of that is pharmacology. So there are lots of different pillars of health and well-being that are important. And of course, the longer we live, the more likely we are to develop those conditions associated with aging. Heart disease, the biggest condition. Cancer, it's become the number 2 condition now. There is no cure for cancer. If we live long enough, we'll all get cancer. Neurodegeneration, diabetes, all of these things. We can improve them, and all these medications, all these lifestyle changes are reducing the risk and helping control it. But the one risk that is always there is cancer. And there's a lot of work being done at the moment looking at diagnosing it early and managing it early, because that's when it's weak. But there is no cure at the moment. And I don't think there will be. All we need to do is understand that we've got to detect it early and manage it early.
Well, we do a test, you do a test
Yeah.
for cancer.
Yeah, it's an area that's really important to support. Okay.
Well, it's been marvellous talking to you, Jace. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is hopefully going to be a regular interviews with you, because with our very large female audience, especially across the world, they're very interested, perhaps even coming into London to sort of see something like this. How can people get in contact with you?
Well, we've got a website which is harleystreetskinclinic.com, and it's very easy to book an appointment there or to call and speak to somebody.
Again, thank you so much for your time, both of you today. It's been delightful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a wonderful sort of interview with the Harley Street Skin Clinic, and we're looking forward to working with them more. Amazing work that they're doing. All sorts of celebrities go there as well. And now we're just going to have a short interview with our colleagues Amaze TV from Africa.
My name is Diane. I'm from Royal Reach TV show. We are here with Kim. Kim, please introduce yourself for us.
Yeah, my name is Kim Tomasi from Amaze TV Sierra Leone. I'm here today to talk about Sierra Leone tourism, the prospects, and what you expect as a visitor. Thank you.
I'm from Brazil. We have a tourism there, but I would like to know about Sierra Leone. Explain for us about tourism looks like there.
Oh, fantastic. Tourism in Sierra Leone is very amazing because the government, under the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, have put essential things in place for tourists, like good hospital, good transport system, and leisure centers around the tourism facilities, and safety of the people visiting Sierra Leone. And there are many things to enjoy and many eating areas to have your meal, important places for sightseeing. That is it. It's good.
Kim, what kind of things we can find in Sierra Leone?
Oh, very exciting. So many things to view in Sierra Leone. You can visit the Bones Island, where the history of the slave trade is recorded in Sierra Leone. You can visit the Bure Beach, Lumley Beach, a series of beaches in Sierra Leone to visit. You can visit the Bintimani Mountain, a very nice mountain that embraces African tradition. You can also interact with the people of the Sierra Leone culturally, enjoy different type of ethnic food, and it can go on and on. But if you can permit me let you know what you can see. You can visit the Tiwai Island, you can go to the Bure Beach, you can visit the You can visit the River Number 2 beach. You can visit the Toke beach. It can go on and on. Sierra Leone is very fantastic. The Laka beach. And it's fantastic to, visit this place. And also you can have opportunity to see where the cotton tree was planted by the original first slave that came to Sierra Leone. So these are all exciting. And moreover, the people of Sierra Leone have diverse culture. You will enjoy and participate in all these cultural activities. Thank you.
That sounds amazing.
Yes.
About this, everyone needs to come to Sierra Leone.
Yes, wonderful. Let's make it happen. We are inviting you, come and visit Sierra Leone, explore our beaches, explore our islands, explore our people culturally, and enjoy yourself and have fun with us in Sierra Leone. Amazing. Thank you.
Amazing. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
And we're excited, very excited, to have Grace Richardson with us, Miss England, newly crowned Miss England. Welcome, Grace.
Hi, thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. Look at you. I've got crown envy. I've been after a tiara or a crown for a long time, but yes.
We'll
Well done to you.
Every time a beauty queen comes on, all I ever get afterwards is, I haven't got a tiara. I don't have a tiara. Where's my tiara?
Oh, so Grace, congratulations. So this is actually a new accolade, isn't it? This is very recent, in the last few days.
Only crowned last Friday, actually.
Amazing. And also, you are in musical theatre, and as we were just saying, you're in your last year. So how do you balance everything?
It's definitely a bit of a balancing act to get everything to align properly, but I've got a good team around me helping me to get through it all.
I think the team's very important as well, because obviously with Angie Beasley at the head of Miss England, the organisation, we've worked with Angie on the show for many years now, and it's such an important contribution, I think, because I believe 7,000 girls a year actually enter for Miss England. So how did you feel the moment that you actually knew you'd won?
I was absolutely blown away. I said this right after I won as well. I really thought that every girl in that top 12 deserved to win. And honestly, every girl that had made it to the final had done such incredible work. So it's one of those kind of out of this world experiences. I was almost watching myself from above.
Great. And also, so you've broken the mould as well, which I think is very interesting. So you're the first openly lesbian Miss England. How do you feel about this milestone and the good that it must do to other young people?
It's definitely one of those things about myself that I was very open to exploring. Obviously, the media have been able to enlighten that and bring that up for me. But I just like to think that there are girls out there that were once in my position, very young, figuring themselves out, potentially coming out, that feel there's now a safe space for them. And I just hope that I'm inspiring more people to be open to different kinds of people and on all these minorities that are put down.
And looking back at your history, part of what happened in your school life is that you were bullied because of your situation that you were in, and you were openly gay. What are the memories of that time, and who actually gave you the courage, the incentive to actually move on in your life?
So school was never easy for me. Even from a very young age, I was picked on for different reasons. So then when I came out, that was just another thing that people made digs at. And obviously that really started to affect my mental health. But luckily for me, I had my family and my best friend really encouraged me at the time to explore myself and to feel comfortable enough to kind of like throw myself completely into the community and to understand all those around me. There's so many different kinds of people in this world that it kind of starts to hit you that you're actually not that different. We all have something different about us. So why do we pick on people if they're not the same as you?
I can imagine you've had quite a lot of media. In fact, I have seen some media, some various articles. And also it's quite a big thing because I know that the Diana Award, they've been talking about bullying. It's a big thing at the minute where bullying is on the rise. So you have got a lot of positives that you can share, which is brilliant. But also with reference to like activism, because you're in the spotlight, am I right in thinking as well that mental health awareness and body positivity is also something you're keen on talking about?
So I'm definitely keen on sharing that part of myself. However, throughout Miss England, my main focus was actually environmental conservation. So I started my own project, which kind of focuses on the global water crisis, plastic pollution, and sustainable fashion. So though I'm confident about talking about myself and my body, that's almost on par with all the environmental change that I'm trying to make happen.
I think it's very important as well. Strangely enough, I was at a meeting last night where we were actually talking about this exact subject as well, and how different organisations in London are trying to clear the waterways around London and pick up the rubbish at the same time. So it was quite an interesting thing as well. When you're looking to your future now, obviously there's all sorts of opportunities for you at the moment. I mean, obviously singing, dancing, going into music theatre, whatever. But are you just as interested in being an activist for all the different issues that you want to talk about? How do you split your time?
So I've always been interested in musical theatre. As a career path, I definitely made that decision from a young age, and I do plan on continuing that because I enjoy it, I'm passionate about it. However, recently I've really become absolutely dove into my project that my grandparents taught me about when I was young, and even in school I was really interested in helping people and being part of all these extracurricular paths. So being able to blend those two things was never new to me. So starting Miss England, I kind of already had that ability to multitask different paths. And I love them both so much equally that if a career came out of either, I'd be beyond happy.
So you've obviously alluded to your project. So you've spearheaded, I think it's called Every Drop Counts, which is your project that you worked on. And a little bird has told me that you had had some special letters from royalty.
I did, yes. So I had a letter from His Majesty the King and also the Princess of Wales.
How do you want to use the title to the best benefit of all these activities?
So to me, Miss England isn't just about the beauty pageant. You know, the title comes with a platform of people that are willing to follow you and what you're passionate about. So it's important for me to use that beauty with a purpose and to use my project, Every Drop Counts, to kind of educate and inspire people as much as possible to make those small changes in their life to create a more well-rounded, sustainable future. So that's my main goal as Miss England, but also there's the other goals of making people feel more comfortable and sharing my story, which I wasn't once able to.
Do you have any partnerships to do with your project? Are you working with other people, obviously as Miss England, but any other partnerships?
So I'm currently partnered with the Vayu Foundation, which is a global charity, that have different sections in different countries. So they have you land, you earth, sorry, you ocean, and you humans. So with you humans, I'll be traveling to Kenya next year, which I'm so excited about. And the goal there is to really raise awareness about the gender-based violence and also the environmental action that we can carry to, you know, other areas and share with other people.
That's amazing. Strange enough, tomorrow I'm at another African event at the House of Lords. What is the one thing, apart from obviously all of that, because that's very exciting for you as well, what is the one thing you're looking forward to as Miss England?
I'm looking forward to meeting different communities and being able to learn more about the people around me and the country I represent, but also communities across the world. I feel like I've grown through pageantry. I started when I was 18 and now I'm 20. I'm still so young and no person is perfect, but being able to gain knowledge from as many communities of people as possible is really what I'm most excited about.
And of course, as well, Miss World. Are you excited about competing with Miss World?
I am so excited to go to Miss World. We don't yet know where or when it is. So we're kind of just, the contestants so far, we're all conversing amongst ourselves and the excitement's definitely bubbling.
Grace, what one item could you not do without on a shoot?
Oh, that's a very good question. I'd probably have to say my hairbrush. But for me, I really struggled with my hair growing up, and that's one of those things that I'm learning to be able to do myself. But I have such fine hair that without a hairbrush it would just get tangled.
Lovely.
And after Miss England, because everyone moves on as well, and if you look at the history of former Miss Englands, they've all gone into fabulous careers, and I think Miss England has created all sorts of options for them. What type of musicals would you like to appear in?
I'm a huge fan of nearly every musical that there is. Some goals would probably be Crazy for You, Moulin Rouge, or 42nd Street. I absolutely love tap, but I also love a little bit of jazz.
I've seen some wonderful footage of you where you were performing ballet, and I think I saw you singing at Mr. England, if I'm correct there. So I just thought, wow, you've got a great voice. Would you be thinking of maybe even bringing out a, I don't know, single? Is that do they call them that these days?
Yes.
Music.
So
yeah.
I'm definitely open to creating my own music one day. As it stands right now, I'm still in my studies. I'm trying to be a sponge and soak up as much information as I can before I start working on my own projects, like creating my own music. I love live theatre, and that's definitely a goal for me in terms of my musical career, but I'm definitely open to expanding into songwriting one day.
What would you like to say about the Miss England organisation, how it actually helps young ladies like yourself?
Miss England is one of the most incredible organisations that I've come across in my life. It really supports women to be able to work on things that they're passionate about and gives them that platform to grow their confidence and create good in the world and, you know, raise money for charities. There are so many things that go into it. It creates such hard-working and inspirational women. And I'm so thankful for everything the organisation has done for me.
I was just thinking just then, you know, what would you say to, because there's lots of young girls that would like to achieve what you've achieved, who would be a bit fearful about applying. What would you give them as a tip?
Definitely just go for it. I applied when I was 18 and it's taken me 2.5 years to grow, learn, work on myself find the confidence to be able to get up on that stage and talk about exactly what I want to do. But it's a process. A lot of Miss England contestants end up doing it year in, year round. They'll keep going until they feel like they've reached that peak of success. So definitely just apply and see where it takes you.
What's the best tip you can tell to any potential pageant entrant? Have you know, the types of things, are there tricks of the trade?
I'd definitely say to try and just be the most well-rounded. It's important to, yes, work on your speech or your walk and any of those things that go into the live performance and show, but also make sure you're staying true to yourself. If I hadn't chosen to start Every Drop Counts and really lead with that, I would have felt lost. My first year round through Miss England, I didn't really know what I wanted to achieve. So going into it knowing I had a solid goal that was achievable, it just made me feel more confident going into it.
Amazing. So, I mean, obviously Angie Beasley, I guess, is a point of contact, but with reference to people maybe contacting you, I don't know, to do with performance, does everything go through Angie Beasley? Do you have your online account? How can people get hold of you?
So in terms of performance or events, the best port of call is to talk to Angie or to contact the Miss England Instagram account if you don't have Angie's details. But I also am on Instagram, so I'll try and get through my messages as quickly as possible. But on Instagram, it's grace.richo.
Now that you've won the title Miss England, what would you be telling your schoolgirl self?
Keep going. Definitely, there was a point in my school times where I debated completely changing my future, my path, and I nearly didn't even go into musical theatre because it takes so much confidence. I would just remind myself to stick to what you know and to keep that passion going strong.
Fabulous. Oh, we're so thrilled that you could join us, Grace.
Yes.
You've already achieved so much, and going forward, you know, the world absolutely is your oyster. So thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you all the luck, although you don't need it, in the world.
Absolutely. And we'll be tracking you, young lady. We will.
And hopefully you'll come back.
Come on the show. Come on down to London when you're down. Bring Angie on as well. She hasn't been on for a long time as well. Come on to the show. Come in and see us in our TV studio, and we'll make you most welcome. So well done, you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
Okay, we're just going to take a short break now, and then we've got another fabulous guest coming on. Stay tuned.
We're thrilled to have Basanti Patak with us, CEO of Neurovida. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Now you're going to teach us today how to keep calm, aren't you, under pressure?
And I hear that it's very needed at the moment. Yes,
Tell
I am.
me about it.
Yes, so this is basically what we do in many ways. So we're focusing on increasing company profits by optimizing the workforce, by making the workforce more productive and make them better at performing at their job. And the way we do that is through very much science-led training that is designed for busy teams or busy individuals, and to basically disrupt with a tiny little bit their working day. So not disrupt it too much because nobody has time, everybody is time poor these days. So we really start with everyone who is busy, who is stressed, and who needs help at becoming better at their job.
So you talk about changing the architecture of the brain, which I find in my basic way, quite tricky to understand. So if you're able to explain.
Okay, let me start by saying that when we talk about poor performance, there's often a lot of different reasons for it, right? It can be linked to physical stiffness or pain when you're sitting at a desk all day. It can be it can be linked to cognitive overload, mental fatigue, those sorts of things. It can be very much stress related if you've got multiple deadlines. But all of that is not a motivational issue. It's all got to do with the neuroscience of how does our brain work, how does our body work, how does everything link together, essentially. So we are looking at neuroscience-informed programs that we use to ultimately change the architecture of the brain. So we use the brain's neuroplasticity, the ability that the brain has to change, but also the body's bioplasticity in order to change the way that we react in certain situations to stress. For example, if you're defaulting in a particular stressful situation to, I don't know, to shouting at someone, whether that's your team or whether that's the person who cut in front of you at the coffee shop, that is what we are trying to change. And that happens over time because you don't change anything like that, just like you can't immediately get the biggest bicep or tricep in the world by just going to the gym once. That happens over time. But there are certain hacks that we have, and that's why I said this is so meant for busy individuals and busy teams, because there are certain things that we can do within a minute in which we can help them reset their stress levels, get them to focus when they really need that focus, if they're lethargic after their lunch or because they've just worked very, very hard and they need a break and then they need to go again. So there are certain things that we can do in a minimum of time. There are certain things that need longer, and it is that regularity where it comes in that we actually change the way the brain works. So to put it in plain English, the more you think about, the more you do something, no matter what it is, whether you play chess a lot or you play an instrument a lot, a musical instrument, it all has an effect on your neural architecture. So certain pathways in the brain get used more, certain neurons will fire again and again and again, and that is what we're trying to change, and can change very efficiently and effectively through a few minutes every day. So it doesn't need a lot, it just needs that regularity.
Okay, imagine this situation now where two people are screaming and shouting and yelling at each other. Mm-hmm. How do you stop that?
So number one, and there's a few things that come into it. There is always a lot of things that we can do. Yoga would talk about the different sheaths of the body, but I'll give you an example that has nothing to do with it, that is more scientific. Although I would argue that all these yogic scriptures hold science. They just have a different language to express it. But if two people scream and shout at each other, let's have a look at how close they are standing to, close to each other they are. Go away from each other and their energy is not going to affect you. And that's also proven, you know, a couple of meters between you and that energy of that person will not affect you. The closer you are, the more you feel you can't escape that, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's number one. That's what I would do. Then I would say to both of them, let's just, if there is a mediator at all, you know, if it's just the two of them, I think that they have a problem because they're both up here, high stress levels, and they're angry. But if I am there, I will say, okay, step away from each other, take a deep breath in with me, and then slowly exhale. And we've all heard, I'm sure, of the vagus nerve, the longest cranial nerve in the body, which essentially is like an information superhighway. It tells the brain what's going on in the body. So if you breathe a certain way, for example, you breathe in for 3, you breathe out for 6. So exhale for longer than you've inhaled, and you're immediately sparking your parasympathetic nervous system. And I think we're all very much aware of how our whole hormonal status, how all of the things that go on in our body, even the things that we eat or the way that we've slept, have an effect on how we react in certain situations. Because at the end of the day, nothing needs to be a stressor. What is a stressor to you might not be a stressor to me, and so on and so forth. And we all have things that trigger us, so we need to learn that. But the first thing is get you from your sympathetic response, your stress response, into your parasympathetic nervous system. And from there, we can then actually decide, well, what is it that actually went on here? And there's certain meditations and concentration exercises that are very good for spotting what it is that actually happened in a certain situation. Because what we often realize, and what we very often don't realize in turn as well, is that all of our reactions depend on our prediction, our body, our brain prediction system. So our brain makes predictions all the time. And that is great, because that way you don't expend as much energy. Because if you're constantly seeing every situation anew, then there's too much going on, far too much electrical activity, far too much energy that the body needs in order to make sense of the world. Whereas if we're really relying on all of our previous experiences, everything that's ever happened in our lives, it's much easier to go on autopilot, find our way to work rather than think about it. And that is the reason why we also have unconscious biases, stereotypes, and why we react to a certain person a certain way. They might be reminding us of someone that we really didn't like at school, and we're in our 50s or 60s or something. It might be that they said something that sparked a certain thing that our partner always says to us, and that drives us up the wall. So it's spotting these different things. And there are meditations such as, for example, mindfulness, where you're only observing whatever happens in the body, all the perceptions that come, without judging them as good or bad, love it or hate it, and that train the brain, again, also over time, to not judge as much, not judge as quickly. And quite technically, and I don't know how interesting that is, but in neuroscience speak, your brainstem will log that information and then send it on to the prefrontal cortex for judgment. The brainstem does not judge, it's non-conceptual. It's basically like a telephonist in a company. The prefrontal cortex will be the CEO who makes the decision. But we can lengthen that period of non-judgment, and that helps us not judge when we maybe shouldn't judge, and take a step back and think, did that person actually mean to harm me? What is actually going on?
With staff optimization, and you talk about the sort of business mindset, athlete mindset, is that right?
Yeah.
Have you had like great feedback, say from businesses that have taken up your
Yes.
services?
Yes, I mean, that's the nice thing, you know, in a job like ours, it's such a wonderful job to have, because you go to these companies, you make their life better. Sometimes they're already happier when they know you're coming on that day. So that is quite helpful as well, because that mindset also changes, right? If you think you're going to be happy and you're going to be relaxed, then you are more likely to be happy and relaxed, because in your mind it's already happened, right? Mm-hmm. If you're thinking of a certain food, you can already feel the saliva in your mouth, if that is a food you like. So yeah, wonderful feedback on how it's changed productivity levels, how it's really helped their mental health and well-being, and helped staff culture. So that is also, you know, staff retention and staff turnover, obviously big things. And it's not just about the company profit. And those leaders that we work with know that if they want to increase their profit, it is all about making sure the staff works properly, that they are healthy, that they are happy. That goes for, you know, musculoskeletal issues, alleviating those. Mm-hmm. But it's also things like, do they like their team? Do they like coming to work? And then it's about making sure that this becomes a regular thing, rather than we come in once, we tell you about the science, great that you know, but what is it that you actually do? So we give tools all the time. And what we do if we come for say a 30-minute session every week, we always make sure that in the first 5 minutes, we give that number one hack that you can use to de-stress yourself. And you can do that today, you can do it right now when you need it, you can do it tomorrow while you still remember it, and then next week we give you something else, while the rest of that time that we have with you is of course not wasted. It is again about that regularity and getting yourself to change the architecture of the brain and the way that you hold your body as well. So just that whole awareness, it is manifested more because we're staying longer, but there are simple things that you can do. And I think in our world of, you know, bite-sized information, TikTok, Instagram, it's all just within a minute, you need to do this. It's very, very good to have that, because our attention span is also not what it used to be anymore. So if we give people these tiny little tools, then they feel empowered and they come back because they know that there is more to be had.
There are two stressful periods coming up that I'm aware of. I mean, first of all, how do families cope with Christmas? That's a very stressful period. But probably more importantly, in the corporate world, sales, most companies make 90% of their profit in December.
Yeah.
And so the stress level on sales teams is acute.
It is very much so, yes.
What advice do you give to corporates and to salespeople to actually still be able to cope with that pressure at the same time?
There's a lovely saying, and I'm probably attributing it to the wrong person now. It might have been the Dalai Lama, it might have been many people who all copied from each other. But it goes, if you should meditate for half an hour every day. Not if you're busy, then you should meditate for an hour every day. And that is the one thing that I remind everyone of. If you are stressed, take those 2 minutes. It is just 2 minutes, and you will realize that you work more productively, you are better at decision making, and there is so many studies, double-blind. I mean, I could cite so many things that show that only 2 minutes, even 1.5 minutes of breathing, make a massive difference to your productivity levels, to your decision-making abilities, and that is the way to get through it, because we all know that stress happens, you know. The main thing is, stress is not our enemy. It can be. It is if it's multiple stressors all at the same time and they never go away. That is not good for anyone, because we have to remember that stress comes, that everything that is in our body is still there to keep us alive. And back in the day when we were hunters and gatherers, we needed that stress. We needed our muscles to tense up, to get ready for that fight or that flight from the animal that was going to kill us. And it is still there. But our stress response, and there are many different ones, it's all a little bit more complex than just this is the one stress response, adrenaline, cortisol, and then you're getting, you know, once the stress is gone. But the main thing is stress, so hormesis is what we're looking for. So controlled stress, giving yourself the time. So not too much stress, because then you're going into this overwhelmed situation and it's all too much and head in the sand. We don't want that, and unfortunately that sometimes is the case, and then you need the right leader or manager to recognize that as well. So we also work with them, because sometimes they are the problem, let's face it. But the other thing is that you need to make stress your friend. Make it your friend, seek it out, be in control of the situation, and then let yourself relax afterwards, even if that is just 5 minutes, and then you go back to the next thing.
If you're going to, let's do it, even if it's a small corporate group, do you evaluate each individual team member, and maybe certain people need certain things?
Something else as well, yes, that is such a good question. It depends on how we work. So we started off 12 years ago with wanting to make employees healthier, employers happier because of it. And we really said, these are our services. Chair yoga, we alleviate musculoskeletal tension, computer ergonomics, adjusting the hardware, etc. And then we, you know, and yoga is not just the physical side of things, it is breathing science, it is meditation science, it's the science of concentration and sound as well. You know, there's so much to talk about when it comes to that. But a couple of years ago, we decided that we don't just want those services, we want to make sure that we are more in control of what we do, that we can really look at this team and say, okay, fine, they hired us for chair yoga, so now we need to do chair yoga with you. So we came up with programs that optimize them based on what it is they need. And in such a case, we speak to the teams, every single individual in the team. We listen to them what they think the problem is and where they lack, but we also then read between the lines what is actually going on. We speak to the leaders, we look at the company culture, how things are supposed to be, how they actually are. So that is very different. And then we have much more freedom as to what we can do. And then no session is ever the same. It isn't anyway. But we have that freedom to say, today I can assess that you need this rather than that. So yeah, it really depends. But sometimes it's just a box standard visualization, and they are really wonderful as well, because what happens in a visualization, so Ian, if you're currently very stressed, think of your favorite holiday that you've ever been on. You don't have to share with me what it is.
You see?
Or actually, please
do. You want to see me cry? Is this your intention?
Crying is actually very good, so why not? Releases wonderful happy hormones. No, but what happens if you're thinking of something like that? So we want to engage your sensory perception. We want to get you from your left hemisphere of the brain into the right hemisphere of the brain to make you calmer. And that happens through, say, it's your skiing holiday, I don't know, the snow underneath your feet, or it's a holiday on the beach. The way that you can taste the salt of the sea on your lips, those sorts of things, or your favorite fruit, all of that immediately de-stresses you. So all of what we teach has a lot of science behind it, but we don't often hit people with the science because most people don't have time. So not too theoretical, not performative at any point either, because no one has time for that. We give people what they need, and of course people are interested in the science, but that can be once they're actually relaxed enough and they have the time, not in December. So.
Unfortunately, time has caught up with us again today. Please come back on again, because there are so many questions.
Because we were talking, but just to say, from an individual point of view, because obviously you are top of your game, and it's great to go into corporates. But there's lots of people like me who thinks, oh gosh, I really would like to try this. I want to get strong and be able to be more flexible and all the things that I'm not. So do you work with individuals as well?
I do as well. So because I've got the company, and because I always say yoga was meant for everyone. It is not a practice for skinny young white girls that want to be sexy and flexible. It is for everyone, because it really has the ability to change your whole life, your brain, your body, and that is for everyone at any stage of their life. And that is why, even though my main concern is of course my company, I also have an on-demand subscription platform where you can do classes with me whenever you want. There's a lot of physical yoga on there, slow, gentle, sometimes fast, so whatever it is that you want and whatever level you're at as well. And I talk a lot about the science in that as well. I do a Zoom class online, live online on Saturday mornings, and I can be found around the corner from where I live, actually at Brockwell Lido, where I love teaching because it's people from all walks of life, and no one asks you to do a certain style, because it's not about the styles, it's about who's in front of you and what they need at any given day.
Gosh.
How can people get in contact with you now?
So my website would be the first port of call, I would say. That's pathak-yoga.com. I'm also on Instagram, at Pathak Yoga, on TikTok, for my sins. I'm everywhere, Basanti Pathak, so you can find me everywhere on socials. I'm on LinkedIn, Basanti Pathak. And I'm always very happy to hear from people and just have an exploration call to find out what it is that people need.
Just if there was one thing that you could leave with, everybody, what would you suggest? I mean, obviously there's lots of things with yoga, but
that you are absolutely in control of your body and your brain. And sometimes that is hard to remember when it all comes over us and we feel like we're completely out of control. But you are in control of your body and your brain, so never forget that. And wear life like a loose garment, because we're all human beings. No one is better than someone else. Yes, there are hierarchies at work and everywhere in life, right? But at the end of the day, we connect on a human level, and we're all the same, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Bless you.
I love this.
Well, thank you for coming on the show today.
I'd like you to join us another time, because I think
Please
there's a
come
lot
back,
to
because
share.
there is
You've got
so
lots to
much.
share.
I have to squeeze so much in before Christmas at the moment, but you've been a fabulous guest again.
Thank you.
And please come on the show in the new year and we can talk more.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for Sandy.
Okay, we're just going to take a short break and then we'll have another fabulous guest. Stay tuned.
And welcome back. And we have Alan Endfield with us, fashion guru. Welcome.
And it's very nice to be here.
You have so many stories. To be honest, everyone, I met Alan a couple of years ago through a mutual friend who unfortunately has died since. And then we met recently, and I said, well, look, we'll just have a cup of tea for 3 hours later. Alan was still telling me the incredible stories of his life's journey. So, first of all, can you take us back to the 1960s and the 1970s? How did it all start?
I hate talking about the 60s because it brings my age. And I keep my age very secret. No, it's all started, I was always a bit of a tearaway, and I sort of, when I was a kid, in primary school, I was never sort of one to follow anybody's sort of, orders, if you know what I mean. I was always independently minded. And I used to go to the clubs when I was 12, 13, 14 years old. I used to deliver bread on a bicycle. I used to work from a pottery, my father's pottery shop in Bootle, all the bombed out buildings, and we were all scallywags in those days. And, you know, it was, you know, I always remember when I was about 5 or 6 years old, lighting bangers under a police van to try and blow it up, things like that, you know. And then the police coming and dragging you away by your ear and hitting you. In those days, they weren't allowed to do that. But then you had respect for people more in those days than you do now. So, and it just, you know, grew from there, sort of, you know, going to the clubs and, you know, getting into the music scene and growing up. This is a long time before fashion and everything. Just growing up and going to the Cavern Club at lunch times and the Blue Angel and seeing all the old stars and having drinks with John Lennon at the Grapes and, you know, and all the rest of it, and Bob Wooler and Alan Williams, the Beatles' first manager. And we just became all very good friends. It was like, it was just part of that era where there was no animosity to anybody. It was all, you know, yes, you have to be careful. I always remember getting chased down the road by guys with axes, you know, especially in North Wales with the Teddy Boys, because they hated you dancing with their girls when you used to go with all the old Bedford vans in the bands with the Rory Storm and the Hurricanes, to the Denisons, the Big Three, the Mersey Beats, Jerry and the Pacemakers, who did my 16th birthday on the Royal Iris, played for me. It was part of, it was an amazing scene. It was no regrets. It was just, the memories are fantastic.
That sounds so exciting. Oh, to be a fly on the wall. But so just before we started, we were just talking, and I want you to share about your first girlfriend, because obviously you love beautiful women.
Of course.
And it started from a very early age. And tell us about your first girlfriend.
My first girlfriend, I always remember living above the pottery shop in Bootle. And they lived in, it was all bombed out, and there was these, you know, what they call this, like the chalets they used to live in after the war and everything. And this beautiful girl used to walk down the street, and she was like tall, stunning. And I was about, I don't know, I was quite young, 12 years old, 13 years old, you know, not even 14. And I used to go skedaddle, miss school, and go to the Cavern Club for lunch. So I said to her, you know, come with me. So she came with me, and she was 6'1". I always remember, beautiful. I used to stand on the chairs in the Cavern Club, and everybody used to clap, yeah, you know. And I used to kiss her in front of everyone. It was all guys dancing in circles. I never did all that, you know, but I always liked dancing, and I still love dancing. But, you know, all those sort of things. And I used to go to the catering college and all the rest of it, and I was a chef in those days. But during the evening, I was a DJ. I played in all the bands in Liverpool. I was a DJ. I played bass guitar, harmonica, sang. So yeah, it was exciting. Every day was something different. Every day I looked forward to getting out, and never mind school, skipping school and doing all that.
And then you started looking at your appearance as well, and started using your appearance, and that really started the fashion industry for you, because I remember you telling me that I think you were 22 and you had a 5-story store in Manchester at 22. Tell us about it.
Well, I opened my first store in Manchester when I was 20, actually. I used to drive to Paris in an old Bedford van, pick up stock, and of course I never knew who they were. I used to look at the magazines. I mean, going back to the 60s in Liverpool, I always wore my winkle pickers, nice black corduroy trousers, nice black, you know, top and everything. I was always fashion conscious, even when I was a kid. And it just expanded from Liverpool. We moved to Manchester, and I just, you know, I worked in a shop on a ground floor for a couple of months in North Manchester, and I thought, nah, I'm going to do my own. And I started driving to Paris, and people trusted me and gave me stock, and £2,000 or £3,000 worth of stock. And in those days, you could buy houses for that in those days. And I used to sell it very well. I used to go every couple of weeks to Paris in the van, 10 hours driving through the night, getting the ferries, going out. But I had that energy. I had that. I mean, those days are well gone because you couldn't do it. But I always remember the old days of getting Yellow, Le Garage, Michel Axel, Cacharel, Lanvin, Cerruti. Most of these labels don't even exist anymore, you know, but they were fantastic. So before I went to Italy, I used to be more in Paris doing the shows in Seine, at Port of Versailles, and staying in all the best hotels, the George Cinq and the Bristol. And in those days, you could afford it before the euro. And it was, in those days, everybody had money in their pockets. And I had an E-Type Jaguar when I was 22 years old, which I bought for £600. But I was working 24 hours a day. Not 10, not 12, not 15, 24 hours a day. I was in a comatose state when I slept. I never slept. I was thinking, what have I got to do? Where have I got to go? What have I got to put on this floor? What have I got to do this? And so it was like that. I worked 24 hours a day.
So it was all couture style, really good quality.
Well, I did haute couture. I was one of the first people in the United Kingdom to actually do haute couture on the top floor. This was when I was 26 years old, and we opened a store, 5 floors on Deansgate in Manchester. So the ground floor was jewellery, perfume, all the rest of beautiful girls working there. Half of them were my girlfriends anyway, and they, you know, I looked after them all. So there we are, but fabulous looking girls, fabulous jewellery. We had the old salivars. You know, people used to make their own perfume, so we had salivars, and we used to make the perfume in the bottles and sell them. And it was so original. No one was doing it. There was Bieber in London. There was not many what I call fashion stores around the UK. You know, the very early 70s. And then the first floor was men's, you know, Michel Axel, Lanvin, Cacharel, Cerruti. Then the second floor was ladies. Fantastic collections. Oh my God. From Chacoq in the south of France to, there's so many, it was so many labels. It's a long time ago, but they don't exist anymore, most of the labels now. But fabulous. And we had models working, all the models that used to do the James Bond movie, you know, Pussy Galore, all the rest of it, all the girls were from Manchester. So they all used to work in the store. So we had the best looking girls in the country, really, working on the store. Selling, and I mean, people used to fly in from all over to come to shop. And then on the top floor, the very top floor, I had Enzo Russo, Tangugicelli. These are couturiers, proper, real, phenomenal designers, phenomenal. You don't see it now. You see a few, like Iris van Herpen today, and a few fantastic designers, but there's not many like the. It was so original, and I used to love it. I used to just go to these factories. I used to go to the factories and the showrooms in Paris and Milan, and go to all the shows. And that's, of course, where I met Giorgio Armani in 1975 at Pitti Palace, when you know I worked with Giorgio Correggieri, who was the #1 designer in Italy in those days, who moved to Japan. But you know, I used to bring them in and put them in the store and everything, all the rest of it, you know, before I moved to London and we had the store. In those days, men and women dressed fashionably before the computers and before iPhones and everything. People in the 70s, 80s, and even into the 90s dressed much more fashionable than they do today. You know, it took me 40 years to sell linen, to educate people to buy linen. You know, oh, it creases, oh, get out. And I was actually so, you know, consumed by, you know, the fashion, you know, world I lived in because I was passionate about it. And you have to be so passionate about it. You don't see that passion like you used to. I mean, I'm sorry you don't. People might say, no, I'm wrong, you know, the rest, but I was very passionate. It was in your blood. It's something that, you know, self-taught. It was just, you know, when you speak to students, they're just gobsmacked because they've got no conception of what life was like in the true fashion industry.
What type of celebrities were you working with at that time? And you know, I know you've got endless stories about the people.
Oh, we used to have celebrities from all over, from Andy Williams to Tony Curtis to Petula Clark, Shirley Bassey. We used to get celebrities from all over coming, and they loved it. They loved coming upstairs on a sofa, huge sofa, could sit 8 people with the changing rooms and a few beautiful dresses and couture, haute couture. No one else was allowed to. The staff weren't allowed. I was the only one up there because I was dressing the celebrities and I had a security person there, and they were all naked in front of me, men, women, whatever, completely naked. But with me, it was like part of what I was doing. They loved me, and I loved them. And you know, from the Coronation Street days, Pat, and all the rest of it, right through to, because I used to have a little leather business in Ancoats as well, and all the Coronation Street people I used to dress, and all the celebrities in the north used to come, and all the girls who were in the James Bond movies and all the rest of it, they all used to work for me. So everybody used to come. There were so many celebrities. I mean, if I go into it, you'd be here for the next 24 hours talking about it.
What do you think? I mean, the North was obviously well known for its cotton industry, big manufacturing, which is gone. Did you rate that?
No.
Or was your...
It's funny because no, I was never. They were never on that. They weren't. Yes, there were lots of cotton manufacturers. There were lots of manufacturers around Manchester, the north, the cotton mills. But I never really worked with those people because they weren't fashion-conscious people. They were. It's not in the culture in the UK. I used to go to the linen factories, and I used to go to the knitwear factories in Carpi and all the linen factories, and I worked with the best people in Italy and France. I used to go to, you know, Premier Vision, which is the largest fabric exhibition in the world. You know, it was about, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,000 companies there, the largest in the world, near Charles de Gaulle Airport, and I used to buy fabric and everything. And I used to build up collections and work with them. And it was just sort of self-taught. I just knew what a nice, you know, chiffon, a nice tulle, you know, all the nice fabrics, bamboo fibers and, you know, coconut fibers and everything. And when people say today, oh, it's, you know, they're working on natural fabrics, and they all say the same thing to you. We were doing that in those days, you know, and I don't understand. They think it's original because everybody has to be, you know, natural fabrics, and it has to be sustainable. The first people they say, every designer you meet today, the first words they say, oh, I'm doing a sustainable collection. And it drives you mad because we were doing that years ago. They were all natural fabrics, Egyptian cottons and nice linens and all the rest of it. The only thing is, I know it's very bad for the environment, is denim. And I was never really into denim. I was always smarter than that. I was, you know, my collections weren't so much denim. They were more high fashion fabrics for men and women. I mean, denim is the worst thing for the planet because it takes 100 litres of water to make a pair of jeans, you know. So, you know, denim is bad. That's why everybody is doing reusable denim now, because it's one of the worst things for the planet, you know. But when people tell me, oh, I'm doing a sustainable collection, oh, okay, very good.
What type of styles, what type of fabrics caught your eye in the 60s and 70s that really made the name for you as well?
I don't know, really. I mean, in those days, one thing I used to love were really smooth silks, nice shantung silks, nice, really nice, even, you know, I used to sell chiffon for men and women on shirts and tops and blouses and things like that, but beautiful washable silks. We used to do washable silks in those days. I love silk shirts even to this day, and silk suits, and you know, I used to do a lot of cashmere and wool and silk and wool and things like that, you know, beautiful soft fabrics, luxury fabrics. And to this day, I love the same fabrics. I mean, okay, acetate. I mean, acetate was big in those days because, you know, dresses and shirts and blouses, there was a lot of acetate. You don't see as much now, but still acetate is still very, 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 very big, you know. So all that sort of thing is still very popular today. And they're not expensive, they're very expensive fabrics now. You know, even non-natural fabrics are more expensive than natural fabrics now. You know, in those days, it was on par and people could afford it. People had money in their pockets in the 60s, 70s, 80s. They had money in their pockets. Today, it's a different world. You could design a collection for £10,000, £15,000, 100, 150 piece collection in those days. To do that sort of thing now costs you £200,000. That's the world we live in now.
So what are your views on fast fashion?
On fast fashion?
Yeah.
Well, it's, you know, people are sitting behind computers, they're on their phones, they're in offices and all this, or they're working from home. They, you know, they want fashion. That's why people like Primark are doing well. That's why people, you know, I don't think people have got the money to go out every night and dress fabulous, you know, like they used to years ago. So fast fashion is here to stay. That'll always be here to stay. I mean, I can buy a £4 t-shirt from Primark and put beading on it and make it look like a £500 garment. A lot of people don't think like that though. But I can put a £4 Primark t-shirt, nice stretch fabric, lycra stretch, because lycra and cotton is a nice, and it's nice to wear as well. And you can, you know, you can put it with a beautiful garment underneath a beautiful garment and say, oh, that's a nice t-shirt. Oh my God, and if you tell them Primark, they think you're lying to them. So it depends, you know, fast fashion, if you've got any, you know, if you think individual and you think what it can go with, you can look fantastic. But a lot of people don't think of things like that. When you've been in the fashion industry all your life, you think of, you know, customizing things. So if I get a pair of jeans from, what I'm wearing now, a pair of jeans I bought from Zara for £30. Now the thing is, I've put a band on it, so a jeweled band on the top. I've got trousers where I've put beading down the sides for £10. You know, £12 beading. I make it look really, really expensive, and people say, oh my goodness, they're fantastic. It must cost you like hundreds. No, £30. You know, so if you know how to customize your clothes, I made a mistake. I got rid of 6 rails of clothes. People said I had more clothes than Elton John. And you couldn't even get into my house at one time with all the clothes. You know, it drove my daughters mad. I got rid of quite a few. I'm upset I got rid of those clothes now because they're worth a fortune. They're worth an absolute fortune. There's a group around the world that buys antique or, you know, sort of designer clothes around the world, from Japan to America, China, and they buy it, and you've got the Colucci Gianelli, you've got Claude Montana, you've got all the top designers and all those clothes now, and they're still going for £10,000 a jacket, whatever, you know. Beautiful designs, fabulous designs, but nobody can make that sort of thing anymore. The factories aren't there to actually make beautiful embossed, embroidered. The factories aren't there. It's just it's not cost effective anymore.
Even in those days, how quickly did trends change, fashion trends change, and how did you make sure that, because obviously you're ordering in advance all the time, how did you make sure that you stayed on the right side of profit?
Well, it's funny actually. It's just, if I thought there was something that for my clients, something original and hasn't been seen before. In those days it was easy to pick things out that hadn't been seen before. And I used to travel around to all these little workshops in Italy and France and pick things. Oh my God, that's amazing. You know, I've got clients for that. I know my clients. I knew my clients. I knew my clients. It was a very personal thing, but I knew all my clients. And I sold everything. There was very little left in the sales in those days, very little. And the stores used to sell all my things, Harrods, Selfridges, Simpsons at Piccadilly, all of them. And they used to sell out. If there was a garment, if there was a range that didn't sell, I used to replace it for them. So, you know, they sold out 90% of the time. And if there was one garment left in a range, I didn't want it back because it's worthless. I used to give them another 50% discount on it, so they kept it. So, most of the things I sold out.
So, moving on, I mean, what would you say currently? I'm just trying to think, because obviously you've got a certain style and the clothes that you put together are quite rich. What would you say the average person, how do you feel they dress in this day and age?
The average person in the UK now doesn't really dress up. I mean, how many special events, occasions did he go to? You know, the average person, they might go to 1 or 2 events a year, special and dress up, or weddings or something, you know, but you know, it's not in the culture. It never has been. As I say, with computers and everything taken over, people just sit behind their computers all day. They don't think about clothes. I mean, you know, Saturday night the girls go out on a Saturday and they dress up. Most of them dress up, which doesn't suit them, unfortunately, but they think it does, and they don't look great. And I just think that the majority of people actually don't have that. And I'm talking about, I'd say 80% of the people don't dress to their figures, especially women. They don't dress to the figures, and they dress. Yeah, 20% do, and they look fabulous, you know. But the majority of people don't think the way we think. The people who've been in fashion all our lives, you know, dressed people, women all their lives, and men and women. They don't think the same way. It's not in their culture. It's different in France and Italy and, you know, so on. They have more of a natural feeling of what they should be wearing, much more than they do in the UK. Some people dress fantastic. I'm not saying they don't, but I'm talking about the majority of people in the UK don't really dress that well. And I don't think they've got the money to spend a lot. As I say, you can customize your clothes. You can go to Primark, you can go to the Zara's and all the rest of it and buy, you know, reasonable priced garments that don't look special at all. But if you customize it and you know what you're doing, they can look £1 million. It's just that mentality. And a lot of people don't have that mentality.
Unfortunately, time has caught up with us again today, as always. Sorry, did you want?
I'm just interested in COVID. You had your thoughts on fashion, the fashion industry during COVID and after COVID. Is that right?
Well, I think I don't think
Killed the industry,
I don't
hasn't
think I don't think things have recovered like they should have in COVID. Look at the city. People all work from home. You know, you go to the city now, it's all restaurants, bars. It's not banks anymore. All the banks are closed down. It's all it's becoming all residential, the city now. It's changed.
How can people, if they want to get in contact with you for advice or that type of thing, how can people get in contact with you?
Well, most of the graduate fashion week, a lot of the colleges, fashion colleges, know who I am. Sometimes they don't like the truth, but most people know how to get in touch with me.
Okay.
And I know that you're a man of you like to throw a party or two. You have some wonderful fashion shows.
I
Little
love
Bird
throwing.
tells me.
I love people enjoying themselves. I love putting people together. It just gives me a thrill when people are happy. There's too much sadness and too much politics now. And society has become very split the last few years. I just think it's nice that everybody has a good time and enjoys themselves and looks good. Care about themselves and put everybody together. And I just love seeing everybody enjoying themselves, good music, good food, good wine. You know, it's nice. You know, we're only here on the planet for a few years. Why don't we all enjoy ourselves?
Absolutely. Here. What do you think?
No,
Perfect.
I totally agree. Alan, thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome.
Really fun.
It's been a most amazing show again on
Fabulous
Miss
guests.
England, and then we're talking about neuro-linguistic, whatever it was.
No, not linguistic. But,
I know,
you know,
but it was.
Yeah, wonderful.
And
for
then
that too.
we have fashion as well,
know,
so it's absolutely
Learn a
amazing.
thing or two from everybody.
So as always, as we come to the end of the show, can I just thank people who actually help us each and every week to put this show together and put it out across the world. So can I thank Helena Chard from ALB UK TV? Can I thank Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck from USA Global TV and Radio? Can I thank Londres TV for putting it out across the world with their different channels? And now we've started working with Amaze TV in Africa as well. And so gradually we are spreading the news, spreading the word,
Absolutely.
spreading the values of Britain right across the world.
Absolutely. And if anyone else wants to partner with us, do shout, because we'll be very interested.
Absolutely. So from me, Ian Pelham Turner.
And from me, Helena Chard.
Have a great week. Thank you for watching again. We hope you enjoyed the show. And we've got more special guests next week. It's coming up to Christmas.
Hey,
Take care.
see you.
Bye now.